I want to talk to you just before we open up the Word and look at Genesis chapter 37, a little bit about what our elder board talked about a couple weeks ago about Peru. Many of you know that we went to Peru, Larry serves as an elder at church, and we went to Peru and really was a vision type trip, kind of looking to see where God would have us serve and what God would have us do in regards to missions. A lot of churches, and it's okay to do this, will send missionaries. We have 9 missionaries that we help support around the world, and they do all kinds of things. But what can happen sometimes in a church's thinking is, all right, we sent the missionaries, so we don't have to. We don't have to go because, well, we send missionaries. So we'll just let the missionaries do that. And when they come, we'll come and listen to them talk. But whew, go ye and tell all the world, we subcontracted that out to somebody else. All right. I don't believe that's what the Lord had in mind when He said, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel. Or when He said, I will give you power. You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you to go to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the utmost parts of the earth. He wasn't thinking that you would just put together a group and subcontract that out. I really think that He was intending for like you and me to go into all the world and preach the gospel. It was part of our responsibility. And if you can, if you're physically able to go and do that. And so we've looked at Peru. We went up the Amazon and ran into a village called New Jardín. And we've decided as an elder board that it would be a great faith experience for our church to get involved in doing this for the next 2 years. And what I mean by that is every generation of believers needs to have a moment where they go, if this doesn't work, if God doesn't show up, we're in trouble. And every time they have that experience, you know who shows up? And that's because that person has gotten to the end of themselves and has gone, if God doesn't work, we're dead. Not literally, metaphorically speaking. If God doesn't do something great, we're in trouble. And God stands in the heavens and going, good, you have reached the end of yourself. Now I'm going to work in a way that you've never seen it. And it's going to be awesome. And whoever goes through that experience will get to the end of it and go, did you see what God did? God did that. That was awesome. Let's do it again. But let's go further. And this faith experience begins to build. And for some of you who have been involved in Odessa Bible Church, you had that experience when you all built the first building. You moved from Pinwell, you moved into town, you bought that property, and then you prayed and you prayed and you prayed, and the funds were given. There were skills from Bruce Merritt to Jim Markham, to many others who said, we can help lend our skills and God is going to erect a building through us. And it was awesome. Others came later and also that building was full. And so you decided to build this building. And it was a step of faith because there wasn't the money to do that. And so you did it debt-free and you saw God work in a great way. And it was awesome. And now it's almost full and it's awesome. And so we sit and think, okay, the new generation of Odessa Bible Church members, young adults, those who haven't had that experience, they need that. What are they going to do? How about planting a church in Peru? Sound like a good idea? I've talked to young adults and they go, yeah, let's do that. Some of you, those who were here in 71 and 72 building that building, and then later in the 90s building this one going, yeah, I had my faith experience. It's a faith experience every time I get up because I got to go to this doctor and I got to take care of this and I got to do this. I'm past that time of going to Peru, but I would love to see that happen because you'll see a new generation of Odessa Bible Church members experiencing God in a completely unique way. And then in 30 years or in 20 years, we'll have another experience like that. But every generation has got to have that moment of, God did that, and that was awesome. Let's do that some more. And that's what Peru is. And so this is what we think would encourage that in the life of our church and revolutionize how we kind of see the world. Every month, or every other month rather, we'd like to send 2 missionaries, 2 to 4 members of Odessa Bible Church to the Amazon. New Jardín is a new village that we were able to preach the gospel at for the first time that we know of and see 2 people come to faith. We'd like to go back there and disciple them and plant a church. Along with Sherwood Baptist Church, they're going to send a team in March. We'll send a team in April. They'll send a team in June, and we'll send a team in July. You get it? And it goes just like that, all the way until at least 2014. And then we'll sit back and look at see how it's all working. But we'll make a 2-year commitment. But it's a $40,000 commitment. $20,000 a year. Because what we're going to ask each missionary to do is to raise half of their support, which is roughly the whole trip cost about $2,200, somewhere in there. And so each missionary will have to raise somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500. And the church, us, you and me, will underwrite the other part of it as a church. You might not be able to go, but maybe you can help send somebody. You can pray somebody through that and them going. And they'll go down there and they'll disciple. The first mission is to evangelize the whole village. Go hut to hut, knock on doors, and share the gospel. Then as we present the gospel, then we'll have meetings every night that will be evangelistic. We'll have meetings in the morning that will be discipleship driven. We'll do Awana on the Amazon in Spanish. How awesome will that be? And then we'll do that for 3 or 4 days, and then they'll come back. Ivy's group will go down there and do the same thing, and then we'll go back down there and do it again until that whole village has heard the gospel. And prayerfully, in a few years, they will begin to send out their own citizens, members of New Hardim, to their neighbors to share the gospel and do a work like that. And so that's what we think as an elder board would stimulate our faith experience, giving us, wow, that's awesome. We did that from little bitty little Odessa, Texas, way out there in the west somewhere. We planted a church on the Amazon, and not just a church, a movement, so that the gospel might go out to all of those other villages all the way around it. And so we would present that to you, say, hey, church, let's do this together. And let's see God work in all of those who go. You don't have to be a young adult to go 18 to 30. You can be however old you like to be. I know Ivy's taken somebody there in her 70s. And he says, I've taken her to Panama, and she's climbed up a hill to share the gospel with somebody on that hill. Both knees have been replaced. And she is still marching up that hill. She will do that no matter what. And you might be in that mindset that I want to go do that. And then we'll talk about how you can get involved in doing that. But I've already got a group of guys who are thinking about going in April and being a part of this. And it's going to be a great experience for us all. Can you imagine? They're going to come back every other month and they're going to be able to say, this is what God did. And you're going to say, God did that? God did that through your prayers, through your offerings, and through our willingness to go. It was great. And it could be a life-changing experience. It will be a life-changing experience for all of those who get to go and be a part of this. And so as an elder board, we'd like to lead you in that and say, hey, join this. This is going to be great. And it's going to have a tremendous impact on the life of not just those who go, but on the life of our church. And so we'll be presenting those who are going to go in a week or two. They're praying about if their availability, somebody in April, sometime in April they'll go. We'll send 3. And the reason why 3, it's just more convenient to send 3. We can send 4, but somewhere between 2 and 4 works great because it's just, there's lots of reasons for that. But just somewhere between 2 and 4, we'll send them out there and go, and it'll be a wonderful experience. I have in your bulletin an opportunity. We're going to meet and talk about this next week. I believe I put it in here for next Sunday. We'll meet at 4:30. If you would like to go, or just like to hear more about it, maybe you want to be able to come to that meeting and just say, I want to be able to know how to better pray for those who are going, then come to that meeting at 4:30 and be a part of it. And maybe you have a student in high school and he's 16, 15. Can I go with my son or my daughter? Sure. There is not one time, I promise you this, not one time that Larry and I felt at risk for our lives. Not one time. The boat that we were on was like a bus, okay? It was a steel-hulled bus that floated. Not one time did I feel like I was in danger. I wasn't as safe as I am at home, but I'm pretty safe. It wasn't that at all. And so if you're kind of worried about that, come and talk. You can talk to Larry, talk to me about that. We felt very, very secure in our surroundings. The biggest threat we had was Willard, the rat that kept running through our campsite the whole time. It's better than the frog. I think I'd take a rat over a frog any day of the week. But anyway, that's another story. So we're excited about that. And I pray that you'll catch a vision for this and see what God is doing and maybe even consider going because I think it will change your life. I can envision couples going down there and doing this, and serving as a couple in what God has done in your life. So be thinking about that if you want to be involved in it or think about it some more. Then come on the 10th next week at 4:30. We'll meet here and talk more thoroughly about it and lay out some more detailed plans of what's taking place.